Good morning. Obviously, it's very, very important for the residents to have stability in the city because we are there to serve the needs of the residents and not to serve the needs of ourselves. And that is, in fact, what the High Court, the North Gauteng High Court, found that on the 29th of April, they found that the two political parties, ANC and EFF councillors, were serving the interests of the party and not the interests of the residents. And it was very, very important for us to go to court. A bit of history. We received the judgment on 29th of April because on the 6th of March, council was dissolved. On the 29th, the court found that the dissolution decision was unlawful and that the provincial government did not act according to the constitution. Now, on the 8th of May, that judgment came into effect. But what happened on the same day that the judgment came into operation, the EFF then launched an appeal at the Constitutional Court. And because they launched an appeal at the Constitutional Court, the judgment of 29th of April was then suspended. And we then subsequently brought a Section 18(3) application that would allow us to implement the judgment while the appeal processes of both the ANC and the EFF are ongoing. Now, on Wednesday, we received the second judgment. And the second judgment was in the DA's favour, which means that we could then return to council. However, we received the judgment at about 10 o'clock on Wednesday. By 12 o'clock, MEC Mahile launched a new appeal in the Bloemfontein Supreme Court of Appeal. So that again suspended the second judgment. And that appeal, fortunately for us, Section 18 also provides that that appeal must be heard on an extremely urgent basis. So we expect that that appeal, the hearing, will take place at the end of this month.
But then that, of course, makes it a little more difficult to predict when a new mayor will be elected?
Well, obviously, we had a council meeting planned for yesterday. But because MEC Mahile lost his papers on Wednesday, which, by the way, was defective, so they had to re-lodge yesterday. Because of that, 18(3) was suspended, and we then had to postpone cancel the council meeting unofficially, of course, because the speaker is not in office. And so now we will have to wait until the end of this month before we can resume council again. But unfortunately, things are not going very well in the city of Tshwane while the administrators are there. Another brief fact, 2016, when we took over, the city had 2 weeks of cash reserves to cover costs. We built up those cash reserves when we were removed from office by March. We built up the cash reserves to 9 weeks of cash reserves. Within 3 months of the administrators being in office, we have now been informed that the cash reserves have run out. It's running out by the end of the year. End of June, depending on who you can believe. According to the administrator, he made a presentation in provincial government. He said that the cash reserves will run out by the end of this month. According to officials, it has already run out.
All right. Now, in terms of legal costs, I mean, it's been an up and down battle in several and different courts for quite some time. Who bears the legal costs of all of this?
Well, currently, with the two judgments, the legal costs are being borne by the Gauteng provincial government, although it says MEC Mahile is one of the people that's got to pay costs, also the Premier. However, you know that the Premier and the MEC won't be paying personally, so it will be the taxpayers funding the costs of both the applicants and the respondents.
All right, now, in terms of going forward, I do know that you're obviously waiting for the Supreme Court of Appeal judgment, which will be heard at the end of the month. Let's say it is in your favor. What will the plans be for Tshwane going ahead?
Well, immediately we will have a council meeting where we will vote in the mayor. That is very important so that we can have the executive, the whole executive mayoral committee installed so that we can start properly governing the city. And the problem you've had before of council collapsing won't be there any longer. Because as you know, a part of the court order is that it's compulsory for ANC and EFF councillors not only to attend council meetings, but also to remain in council meetings. And if they don't, there is a sanction that can fall upon them.